Welcome to my channel Heart Meets Spirit. This channel is intended to support you improving and changing your life. Live a life of love, trust and confidence. Enjoy.
You better sit down. Yes, that's a very strange thing, isn't it? Some people seem to have some kind of emanation, as personal power or something, sometimes people call it. Hitler probably had it, but other people who seem the opposite, on the opposite polarity, also had it. Angela Merkel does not have it. And yet Angela Merkel is better for Germany than Hitler, much better. It seems that some people, at some point, they access something, a source of power, and I believe charisma is a manifestation of what is traditionally called chi or shakti or whatever. It's an inner power that comes and emanates through the person. And you may remember that I wrote somewhere that chi is the bridge between the unmanifested and the world of form. So the unmanifested is totally beyond form, and then out of the unmanifested, form is born, and forms also return into the unmanifested. But as I'm talking about something that is totally beyond words and becomes distorted, of course, and reduced the moment you talk about it, but let's do it anyway. So there's the unmanifested, and then the energy comes out. I would say that's what the beginning of the creative process, the energy that is the creative energy that then goes to creates form in this world, mental formation first, then physical formations. And there we have the energy in its half form-like state and half unformed state, which is chi. And some humans, they have access to the chi at they're not just manifestations of it, they can connect with it at an earlier stage. And so it sometimes happens to people who have, for example, Nelson Mandela, if he has charisma, it probably happened because he was in prison for many, many years, which probably forced him to go within very deeply, because there was nowhere to go without. So it forced him to go within very deeply, and then there was a source of power that he contacted, which is chi power, and that power then was able to, he manifested that when he left prison. That power is beyond good and evil. There are spiritual teachers who have it very strongly, some of them. But just to be connected to chi is not a guarantee that you're free of ego. It's only when you go deeper than chi and touch the unmanifested and realize that who you essentially are is beyond anything that has form, and chi is already moving into the world of form. That is the only place where the ego dissolves. There are people who are powerful transmitters of chi and still have a huge ego. There are spiritual teachers where people go to them and they say, oh, I can feel his energy. And they get addicted to the energy they feel. They all come and go, It's not a guarantee. It may well be that the teacher is free of ego, but there's no guarantee that he is. And in some cases it turns out that there's a huge ego. In fact, the ego can become energized and magnified by somebody who touches that halfway power in him or her. It can magnify the ego and make it and then you become a very powerful Genghis Khan or Hitler or, I don't know, Stalin, maybe he also had it, who knows. And everybody listens to you when you speak, and you project this energy, and you influence people and have power over people, and you love it. You love the power you have over people. But in the end, it leads to your destruction. It's like it's the genie that comes out of the bottle, but in the end, you encounter disaster. If you magnify the ego, the end result is always magnified disaster. You can't have a good outcome if whatever an amplified ego produces will create disaster sooner or later. So that's how Hitler and Stalin and all those people, and it all ended in disaster. So some have it, some don't. Those who are at the deepest level, those who embody the spaciousness, also have an emanation that sometimes is not detected as easily by other humans. You need to be attuned to it, to feel it. If chi can be a very raw energy. There are people who can project chi through their hands. They can light a fire with their hands. You just project the energy out through your hands. Are you free of ego? Who knows? Maybe not. Maybe your ego loves being able to do that and you build up a big ego. Or maybe you are free. We don't know. But that in itself is not spiritual attainment. It's a great power, but the spiritual only comes in as you go deeper, so that you realize who you are, instead of identifying with an energy stream of chi and think that becomes part of your sense of self, which would be a magnified ego. So if energy moves through you, there is a famous word in siddhis in Indian spirituality. They have a wider vocabulary than we have in the West to describe these phenomena. People who go very deep within and touch and access the transcendent dimension, sometimes they manifest what is in conventional language called supernatural powers. Certain things happen around them. There's the strangest things. And these in India are called siddhis. They are supernatural powers that are a byproduct, sometimes, but not always, a byproduct of deep spiritual realization. And all the great teachers will tell you that do not pay too much attention to the siddhis, the powers that arise as byproducts of the deepest realization. When they're there, it's fine. They are there. You can acknowledge it, welcome it. If you get attached to them or identify with them, it will lead you back into ego. And the same thing the teacher will tell his followers. Don't get too attached if you observe certain powers arising. That's ultimately not it. It's a byproduct, no more. It is not to develop certain powers is not the end, the aim of spiritual awakening. It's a byproduct sometimes of spiritual awakening. So that's important to realize, and all true teachers will tell you that. So if I appear to you in two places simultaneously, if I'm here and then somebody else sees me in Los Angeles at the same time, don't pay any attention to that.